Does this look familiar? Yeah, what you just saw is the greatest dunk of all time. Not only was it spectacular, but it also ended a man's career. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today we're gonna take a look at Frederic Weis, the 7'2", 260-pound center who was the victim of the greatest dunk of all time. It was the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney, Australia, and just like in most years, Team USA was favored to blow out the competition once again. During the preliminaries, Team USA was just coasting through the rounds. They had a very strong team that featured some young stars who'd become the faces of the 2000s era of the NBA, and also some other older, former stars to provide that veteran leadership. The expectations this year weren't any different than the previous Olympics, as USA was the team to beat. Anyway, in one of the preliminary rounds, they were playing France. The score was 69-54, and the atmosphere in the stadium was relatively calm as they were expecting another blowout. But then, that's when it happened. In France, it was called Le Dunk de la Mort, which translates to the dunk of death. Everyone on the court, everyone in the stadium did not believe what they just saw. It didn't even make sense, and there was no build-up to this dunk at all. It happened just like that, and it took several minutes for everyone to fully understand the impact of what just happened. Even Carter himself did not realize what he did was that ridiculous until he saw the replay. After Team USA won the game, a lot of reporters asked Weis about the dunk and what he saw from his perspective. Weis stated, "I knew he could jump, but I did not know he could jump over me. Everybody will know my face now, or my jersey number at least. It's going to be on a poster for sure." Then he would follow that up by saying, "It was great, but at the end of the day, it was just 2 points." So what happened to Frederic Weis after the dunk of death? Well, Team USA would go on to defeat France again in the gold medal game, as France got silver. But before that, Weis was actually the 15th overall pick in the 1999 NBA draft. Yeah, you heard that right. He was selected by the New York Knicks a year before the dunk happened, but he didn't play in the NBA yet. And it turns out he would never play a single NBA game ever. That's pretty crazy. The Knicks used their 15th overall pick to draft somebody who would never even play in the league. I guess considering it's the Knicks, it's not so surprising. It further shows their string of bad luck and bad draft picks around this time. What's even funnier is that Ron Artest was in the same draft and he was selected at number 16, one spot after Weis. Knicks fans were obviously upset when the team selected Weis because not only did nobody know who he was at the time, but Artest also grew up in Queens in New York City and also played college ball at St. John's. He was a New York City basketball icon, a local basketball star, and reasonably, Knicks fans were really upset the Knicks did not take him. As for Weis, from 1997 to 2000, he was an all-star in the French league, but unfortunately after that, he started to slow down because of injuries and health issues. Coincidentally, this started to happen after the dunk, so everyone thinks it's the reason his career went downhill. But it was really a multitude of reasons, mainly due to knee and back problems, and personal issues off the court which I'll talk about later. Weis was a huge guy, and those type of injuries are pretty common for big men. At the same time though, he said it himself that the dunk emotionally and mentally affected his play, and because of all the news coverage on the dunk, his face was everywhere. It was always on his mind. That's something that Weis will never be able to escape. He spent the next 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, bouncing around different teams in the EuroLeague, playing for teams in France, in Greece, and Spain. The multiple knee and back problems he suffered ultimately caused him to retire from professional basketball in 2011, at the young age of 33. He finished his basketball career playing in 0 NBA games, but let's rewind a bit and take a more detailed look at everything that happened to him. According to Weis, he was supposed to join the Knicks in the early 2000s, but a bunch of problems outside of his control started to happen. He said, quote, "I was unlucky with the NBA. I had back surgery after I went to the Knicks Summer League. It was killing me. and after that, my agent went to jail. Life got complicated, and if something doesn't feel right, you don't have to do it. It's life. I moved on to something else." Remember, Knicks fans absolutely despised this selection, and it kinda lingered over to Weis himself. He wasn't very popular. Despite Weis being super excited to go to the US and play for the Knicks, one of the most popular teams in the entire world, he didn't have a great reception. Upon arriving to the Knicks Summer League in 1999 and meeting his coach Jeff Van Gundy, he felt like nobody wanted him there. Weis described Van Gundy as being cold to him and showed very little interest in him, even though he was the team's first-round pick. On the other hand, Van Gundy stated that he doesn't remember much about Weis, but he did say that he was an incredibly nice and sweet guy. After an unspectacular showing at the Summer League where Weis barely got any playing time, he never returned to the team. Although there are some conflicting reports over what happened, but according to Weis, he said that the Knicks just never contacted him again, and that was that. So both sides moved on, and he continued to play in Europe. It was kinda weird. I mean, he was the 15th pick. It's not like he was a late second rounder or anything. You expect the Knicks to at least try to develop him and give him the chance to see what he can do? That never happened though. In the 1999 Summer League, they barely even gave him any playing time. And he wasn't even invited back to the Summer League for the following season. I guess he must have looked very bad when he did play. Combine that with his injuries and being very unpopular in the New York media, yeah, it did not work out. His experiences with the Knicks were so bad that it made him question whether or not he should continue to play basketball. Being treated like that hurt his confidence a lot. After realizing his NBA career was not gonna happen, his life in general also started to go downhill shortly after. In 2002, Weis found out that one of his children had autism, and he did not respond well to that. Despite never being a heavy drinker before, he started going out a lot, and sometimes even stayed until 5 a.m. drinking. He became very moody and erratic. As a result, his basketball skills declined and he was sluggish and uninterested in playing. Eventually, him and his wife would be separated in 2004 because it was getting hard to deal with him at home. Life was just going terribly for Weis. Keep in mind, he had a ton of problems with his body too. His back and knees were in terrible condition, and there were days when he could barely walk or get out of bed. And the worst was yet to come. In 2008, Weis hit rock bottom. He didn't want to deal with everything anymore. He could not handle it and just wanted everything to end. So he attempted to commit suicide by consuming a bunch of sleeping pills at once. Fortunately, he survived. About 10 hours later, he woke up, feeling relief that his suicide attempt has failed. He said, "It was the luckiest I've been in my life." Afterwards, Weis slowly recovered and tried to get back on his feet, and after retiring in 2011, he's been doing a lot better. Nowadays, he still struggles from depression, but he seems content with his life. Him and his wife, Celia, worked out their differences, and they own and operate a tobacco store in France, and is also a commentator for French basketball games. According to Celia, there are days when Weis still doesn't feel well. There are so many mornings when she finds Weis lying in bed, grim-faced. And there are still so many times too when Weis has mood swings. He's still trying to find ways to make himself happy again, and the process has been slower than expected, but he's getting there. In recent years, there was actually a time a few years ago when Weis was visiting New York City again. And at the airport, when an officer was checking his passport, he actually recognized him. The officer asked, "Aren't you the guy the Knicks drafted?" To which Weis responded, No, that's my cousin." That sums up the story of Frederic Weis. He's on the opposite end of one of the most famous, or should I say infamous highlights in the history of basketball. But not many people really know who he is or what happened to him after that. It turns out it didn't go so well, but that's mainly due to a bunch of other factors too. I think there's a bunch of people who really do believe that dunk basically ended his career and destroyed him mentally, as he never recovered after that. While he admitted it did have an impact and hurt his confidence, there were a lot of other things going on too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought I'd make a video about him because he has a pretty interesting story. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts about this dunk. Do you really think that this is the greatest dunk of all time? As always, I'll see you next time. Peace.